Mm-hmm.
Says I'm live. Hey, make sure I'm public.
Are we live?
Yeah, we live,
Okay.
and make sure that my stream is set to public
Okay.
because it goes private. Hey, out there, I hope you are joining us.
Yeah, I hope everybody's hopping on now. We are getting set up, and we're so glad that you are joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. We're so glad you're here. We are, yeah, it's ready for some people to get on. Get on.
Okay, we
We are
dating God's
live.
way.
Yeah, we are
There we
live.
are.
Yeah, I see
Okay.
some people have shared and are getting
Hey.
on. Hey, keep on sharing, sharing, sharing as we are. Um,
Here we are.
Here we
All
are.
right,
As we're
and we
getting
live here.
started.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, we live.
Yes, yes,
All
yes.
right. Hey.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so it looks like I guess we'll be on a little bit later, so we're going to get started. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right. Yeah, go
All
ahead and
right.
share.
Share, share, share.
Come be a part of
Yes.
this discussion.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm sharing it on my page so we can
Yeah.
all gather
Same
in this
here.
discussion
Hey
together.
guys. So glad you
Um,
guys are here. Joining us.
joining us.
Joining us
Yes,
live
thank you.
tonight.
Yes.
Yes, for Dating God's Way. Hey, if you haven't liked our Facebook page or our YouTube page, Dating God's Way, be sure to go and check that out. Hit the like button. Also, hit subscribe when you go to the YouTube channel for Dating God's Way.
Yeah.
Hey, also share this video. Let somebody else know that you're here so they can also get on. Hey, hit us up in the comments.
Amen. Good, good, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on in. Come on in.
Yeah. So glad to see you guys. Yep. We're just sharing. Um, and excited about this opportunity to share. I believe this is episode 7.
Yeah. Episode 7.
Episode 7 of Dating God's Way.
Yeah.
And we're and our guests will be joining us a little bit later.
Yeah, they're coming
but
on.
We're going to start a little bit of conversation here. Don't forget to click on comments so we can see.
I'm going to hide that right now. Okay. I'm going to show this one.
Okay.
And I'm going to hide this one.
Yeah.
And click on comments.
All right. Hey,
all right. Hey, everybody.
Hey. Glad
all
you guys
right. Y'all coming on.
Come on in the room. Hey.
Come on in the room.
Yeah. Oh, Pastor Will. Yeah, glad y'all.
Okay, I'm going to get a lot of feedback right there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So I'm just getting all our technology set up and kind of so our guest tonight is going to be Chris and Helen Holmes. Yes.
So they're going to be joining us in a little bit. And while they're getting ready to join, so this would be a great time for us just to kick off with a short conversation about relationship goals.
Yeah.
So relationship goals. What do you guys think? Should you have? We're just going to start off with a question for those who are viewing now. Should you start off with relationship goals when you're in the friendship stage? Just a quick poll of people. What do you guys think?
Yeah, when you casually dating, are there any goals you should set?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say we had relationship goals starting out, but maybe you did. I didn't. And that's something that we can discuss. Like, what's a male's take on relationship goals versus a female's take? I mean, I think that's something to get into, but we're going to get into it in everything.
Yeah.
As our guests come on.
It's funny though that Pastor Willie says he doesn't think that he had goals because he had a lot of goals. He had a lot of expectations. Let me say it that way. When we first started to date, he had very high expectations.
Sure.
So I think, when we start talking about relationship goals, we're also talking about expectations, the expectations that you have for the person that you are dating. and how to communicate those expectations. When do you communicate those expectations? Should you be upfront right away?
Yeah,
because this dude right here was upfront right away.
I didn't have relationship goals. I mean, I was just happy to have a little girlfriend.
Listen, I don't know who he was dating with because I remember.
Oh my goodness!
I remember 20 years ago, he had a lot of expectations.
Hey, I didn't. I don't think I did, but I don't think I did.
You don't think you did?
I don't think I did.
That's interesting. I think that then it's I guess get it to the question of what our relationship goes, because I think you had a lot of expectations of what you wanted from a person that you were dating.
It's interesting. That's interesting. I really don't think I did.
As we get ready to add our guests. Hey, we add our guests in here.
Chris and Helen on in here.
We add our guests on in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let them get situated. I'm gonna get situated.
Yes.
Let them get situated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But Pastor Willie had a lot of goals. Just FYI, he doesn't see them as expectations or goals, but I remember quite a few. So yes, welcome.
Hey, welcome.
Welcome, Chris and Helen.
Chris and Helen Holmes.
Hey. Good to see you guys.
Hey, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Yes, this is episode 7. We've been Pastor Willie has been doing Dating God's Way for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And so we're glad to welcome you all.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So yeah, our ministry has outnumbered the women, outnumbered the men.
Absolutely.
And
the
then
singles outweigh the married.
Singles outweigh the married. And so, so they so we engage in this conversation, and we engage in this conversation about dating.
Yeah.
And the difference between when a male date and when a male goes into dating with versus what a woman goes into dating with.
Yeah.
And I realized there were some key components that they just didn't know about dating.
Yeah.
Right. And so I started to share some nuggets, and as I started to share some nuggets, we began to say, hey, this is a whole discussion right here. Each piece of these of going through this. So so tonight we welcome you guys on, because we know you guys have been, y'all relationship is thick. It's
you I don't know if Willie knows this, but I knew Chris before I knew Will.
I knew Chris before.
And he knew Chris before he knew me.
Yeah.
So I knew Chris when Helen.
Did we freeze?
I don't know.
Is it us? We got stuff, right? Uh-oh.
All right, I'm back.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your dating, married. Tell us some people don't know you guys. Introduce yourselves.
Well, what version do you want? Do you want the church version, or do you want you want the rated G version?
We want the real version. We want the real version. We got our real version.
All right.
I've been watching a lot of real crime shows, so you got to hear that version, this version, and then you discover another version somewhere in there. So
Yeah.
So how did we meet and hook up and all that good stuff?
Yeah, give us some.
Okay, so I have my side. I will say that our us knowing each other goes way back. See, on both sides of our families, his father's side and my mother's side, just so happened they grew up in the same part of North Carolina, out in with Fremont and Eureka, and and Faro. Excuse me. Let me add all of them. But anyway, we pretty much we knew each other by face. We would all see each other. but our actual connection came about once we were in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got to high school, we sang in the gospel chorus together, and y'all remember One Voice? Yeah. So we were singing together, and on my end there was absolutely no attraction, and on his end there was absolutely no attraction because we weren't looking for each other. We weren't looking at each other like that. But as you became a senior.
Yeah.
He became a senior in high school. I was a junior in high school. And that's kind of, that's pretty much when it began to happen. Because Chris was in school. He was a flirt. Chris was very flirtatious. And that was not attractive to me. So that was another reason why I didn't see him that way. And plus we grew up as we was family,
right?
His parents were aunt and uncle to, we call each other that. But anyway, getting to hang around, you start hanging around people long enough, stuff starts getting stuck.
Right.
So little by little, I was starting to close to the end. Now he was after me, y'all.
Yeah, totally.
He was after me, but for the wrong reasons.
I was trying to hit and run.
Now listen, I had not accepted Christ at that time, right. But in addition to that, I still had made a decision. Wasn't nobody touching it. Hello. So you don't have to. You can make that decision not being a Christian too.
Yes.
So, and I had already made that decision. So when he started coming after me, I was like, boy, bye, like, please, you better go get one of them weak ones. That was my mentality. Mm-hmm. So, but look, slowly, we began to hang around each other even more, and I wouldn't let him know I liked him though. Now, our real good friend knew it, but I wouldn't let him know it. And so I went to his prom. And even though we weren't boyfriend, girlfriend, anything like that, because of an agreement, I ended up going to his prom. But in my mind, I'm like, yes, I knew at the same time it was nothing, we weren't together. But he eventually asked me to be his girlfriend, and I'm giving the short version. He asked me to be his girlfriend. And this how he asked me. So you gonna be my girl or what?
That's classic. That is classic. The offer's on the table.
That's just how he asked me. So you gonna be my girl or what? And
didn't beat around the bush.
And the rest is history.
Well, give me some grace in the sense that we had been together for about 2 years, not really blah blah blah. So we had come to a space where that was appropriate because the thing about Helen, I was trying to have sex with her and just leave it alone. That was my goal because at that time that was my mindset. Because guys, that's what we talk about. Even the reason I lost my virginity, not because I wanted to, it was because of the pressure from guys saying that I was a virgin. So I just had to prove, what I'm saying? Let me get these jokers off my back and just go ahead and do it. Blah, blah, blah.
That wasn't with me.
No, that wasn't with her. That wasn't with her. That was the girls before. And the thing that made me keep pursuing Helen was because she had standards that she stood up to, whereas other girls made it easy and accessible for me. It didn't take, because I wasn't one of those kind of, I was the kind of guy to get your mother to like me, and then your mother just liked me, and then it was just easy. Because I would even make statements to girls. They were like, you haven't said anything about sex. Oh, when it's the right time, I feel that it would happen. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to rush anything. When you're ready and I'm ready, that's what we're going to do. So to a woman that's, oh, he's so sensitive. But it was game. It was totally game. So when it came to Helen at that time about, me trying to run game on her, she just had standards and it just wasn't happening. So, just in men, it's naturally to just conquer. So in order for me to conquer, I had to put a ring on her. You know what I'm saying? So because she had those type of standards, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's that's the thing that a lot of females miss. They start to tell guys, they would start to tell me what their relationships were like. And so I created a script in order to be what they were lacking. And I think women share too much too fast, because then I would create the role that everything you told me that the other guy didn't do. I just do the opposite. And then you say, well, he's different. No, I'm not. I'm playing game, because you told me, you gave me the picture of the avatar that you wanted, and I became that. And then once I became that, you opened up fair game to me, and then I did what I wanted to do, and then I was gone. But with Helen, it wasn't that, and the thing, her father really set a standard inside of her. And I would say to those people who are watching who are fathers, really set the standard in your daughters and your sons' life of what they're supposed, mothers and fathers, set the standard of what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because, and I was a church kid, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
hello. So don't fall for the game, and don't give the guys a script of what you're looking for, because then they'll become that. And then you'll be misled. You said, I never saw it coming. You told him everything you wanted, and that's what he became.
Yeah.
So Oscar.
Yeah. I think this is a great conversation that we're having, because we're looking at two different people that came from two different perspectives. Helen had standards and goals where at that time you were in a space where you were running a game, right? And so as we're talking about this, having relationship goals, you can see how it can be one-sided, right?
Yeah.
And so how do you, because I see a lot of our ladies on the feed saying, wow, 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 getting a lot of wows right now, right? So we get some enlightenment. So how do, somebody that has goals, how do they, I know you just gave us one tip about making sure that they're not giving too much away, but what are some other things that can help safeguard some of our ladies or men who might be dating, who, they may have goals, but they're not dating a person that shares those same type of seriousness? How they safeguard their standards?
I think they should have. You have something you want to say?
No, go ahead.
I think they should have like one of the things that I do with ladies that come into our church, or just our nieces and nephews, if they're dating someone, you should feel free enough to release them to the people that love you, because a lot of times they see what you don't see, because you're love struck and because it's performed so well. So you should have people that love, trust you, and have your best interests at heart, and have them come around the people who are going to be your safeguard. Because when you're love struck, you can be blinded too, and you don't see the flaws of that. Well, he did something different, that looked pretty weird. That's something that I saw. And those, though, like even in your church, Pastor Willie is a father figure to you. Bring him to Pastor Willie. Bring him to come to church. Meet my pastors. Meet the people who love and can see beyond, because you're watching. The people that love you are watching without emotion. They're looking for facts.
Right.
And they're looking for body language, and they're looking for all that other stuff. So the people that love and trust you, bring them around them, because they're your safeguard. That's one way that you can protect yourself.
That's true.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So, you have any more? No, I'm sorry.
I would say double date with other people as well. Always go on dates with other people so they can see. Because if you get somebody talking, if you let them talk long enough and let somebody else hear, it's going to come out. It's going to come out.
Yeah.
So
I remember when me and Will got together, we went on a double date with his sister and brother. Yes, we did. Yes, and I learned a whole lot. I learned a lot of stuff. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Look, I was trying to figure out what was really going on. They was talking about some females here was with everything. So that double dating is good.
Yeah, double dating is very good, and it also causes accountability to be present. Because when you double date, because a lot of people say, "Well, I'm grown." That people love to throw out the "I'm grown" card. They love.
Yes.
But a lot of times, a lot of grown people get toe up, you know, and make wrong decisions. So accountability is key. Double dating, you know, and you know, like what Chris was saying, bring them around the people that you are around. Even if you didn't grow up with that father, bring them around that male that has that's that positive example, you know, the male role model. Bring that male in your presence. Bring that, if you know, any single men, bring that female in the presence of the female leadership in your life, because it'll cause everybody's eyes to be open. You know, so even if there's something that needs to be said, hey, I know that you like them and you may be attracted, but this, I don't feel good about this, you know, and be open to receive that. I don't and remove your emotions from it. But if your pastors, it's not saying that your pastors are trying to take control over your life, but they do care and they watch over your soul. So they watching out for you. So if you bring somebody in their presence and they're not a fit, get rid of that puzzle piece because it's not the right one. It's not the right one.
Yeah. So, you know, you guys deal with a lot of young adults, youth, and adults now, and seniors even more now. But what is so when somebody, a fresh relationship, they just started dating a guy or a female, should they go into this initial? They may have met him on the metro bus or met him through one of the Christian sites.
Yeah, Christian
Mingles. What do you suggest some of the early should there be any early relationship goals? And if so, what do you suggest should be some of the early goals going in to really find out, hey, you know, this might work or not?
Yeah, just somebody I really want to court.
I would say, first of all, it's good to know who you are first. You don't need to date anybody if you are not secure and confident in yourself, first and foremost, because another person can come in and just pull everything down, you know. So, but once that part is accomplished, you know, then you would definitely, if you love the Lord, they definitely need to love the Lord. I mean, that's just that's not a rocket scientist kind of evaluation. You know, they need to love the Lord too. What is their relationship like? What is their relationship like with their family? You know, what, you know, are you connected to your parents? Who are you connected to in your family? Because a lot of times those whatever your experience is, or, you know, those people that you were around, that could come out. That comes out. It comes out. And I'm not saying you got to sit there and be like, well, this is on the first date and I need to know this, and don't give anyone a list on your first date. You know, they don't need a list, you know, but just sit there and talk. Like he said, if you talk long enough, you'll find out enough about that individual. So at least talk and be realistic, have realistic goals. Have real goals. What's his name? The rapper. He said, don't be a nickel out here looking for a dime.
Life Jennings.
You can't be a nickel looking for a dime. A pet peeve of mine. Now, I mean, Ebony and Willie, y'all know I'm full gospel. So y'all. Ain't no shame in my full gospelness. Right. My problem is, though, especially those females that they full gospel or mega church, whichever. But you out here looking for the buff man. He gotta be fit. He gotta have this. You ain't on it. That's not how you look. That's not how you look. I'm gonna need you, because, you know, and I don't have nothing against hair weave or nothing, but I mean, that's not right for you to have all of this list. Yeah. Man, to look, he gotta look this way, he gotta be this way, but everything you got on, you got to pull it off. You know what I'm saying? So that's not fair. It's not fair. Yeah. You need to be realistic goals and a realistic list.
Yes.
That's great.
I totally think a lot of because Helen and I, we dated straight out of high school. Yeah. And so it was 10 years before we got married. We were 27 when we got married. And during that time, she had said that she was really waiting for me to do the proposal, put the proposal thing in and all that. And she said she had heard a sermon and God spoke to her heart, said, you're so concerned about being married that you haven't exhausted being single.
Mm-hmm.
And exhausted being single is actually knowing where God wants you to go, what God wants you to do in your life. Because if God has called you to travel and you get in a relationship where they say, well, I want you to stay home, you got to know you, and you got to know what God wants you to do first. And that person has to be compatible with the purpose that God has for your life, because ultimately your life is about God.
Yeah.
So the point that she made about really absorbing and knowing who you are, a lot of times we don't think about what we want and where we're going in the future, because your future determines who you choose in the present. But a lot of times we exclude the future, and we just say, I want to, John and Sally are together, they're together, I want a relationship too. And we block out the future, and we choose our dating and our mates within the now. Then once we get into marriage and we start moving towards our future, you're nothing what I needed, because you're not one with my future. So it's first absorbing and knowing who you are as a person and where God is taking you. If you don't know where God is taking you as a person, then you don't really know how to pick the person that coincides with what you're doing, with what you're doing. Like Helen and I, that's not stuff that we really thought about, but it's stuff that you need to think about now. Looking back saying, wow, God really put this relationship together, because that wasn't on my mind. I was just thinking about moving, just smashing and dashing and stuff. But it's better to learn from someone else's mistakes than to create your own mistakes.
That's good.
Very good. That's great.
Totally better. So it first is finding that oneness within yourself. Where is God taking me? And can this person add value to where God is taking? And it's vice versa. Helen and I, we add value. You and Pastor Willie, you guys add value to each other because you guys are on the same road and on the same purpose. Is this perfect person on the same road where I'm going? And a lot of times when that person is not on the same road, then you lose out, and then you mess up, and you're in a relationship, and then you look back, I don't really love this person, So it's first off knowing who you are and absorbing your singleness. And at the point, by the time I asked her to marry me, she was like, oh, wow, this came so fast, because she was absorbed in what God was calling her to do. And she was like, I could have been cool for a few more years, because she got lost in building herself up in God and building her purpose in God. And then came in and just added value to what she was doing. But a lot of women and a lot of men are looking people to come in to make them valuable, when all the person you're dating and in a relationship should be adding value to you. If they're not adding value to what you're doing, you need to subtract them.
That's right.
You totally need to subtract them.
That's right.
Yeah, that's good, right? So somebody's not coming to make you valuable; they coming to add value. That's excellent.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's excellent. Right? Yeah, because if you so depleted that you need value added, right? Got to get built up first. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Fill your own tank up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it go back to that Jerry Maguire moment, that false moment of you complete me,
right?
And how no, you don't complete me. God completed me, right?
Exactly.
That's it. That's right. And I was looking for him to complete me. As long as we have been together, I have become so drowned in. I was drowned in his being. What it would be like to be. And the thing was, I told him, I said, it wasn't even about us getting married. I wanted you to propose. I'm like, but once the Lord ministered, once I got in a place where I could hear God, because he had already been speaking. Once I got in a place where I could hear God, and he spoke to me, you're not married because you're not yet single. That's what he said. And I was like, just as confused. I'm like, what? I am single. You're like, yes, I am. No, you haven't. No, you're not, because there's a ministry of marriage, and then there's a ministry of singleness. And you haven't given me your singleness. Yeah, you giving me, now that you know who I am, and you made, like I was saying, going back when I said I made a decision of maintaining my virginity before salvation, I kept that going. He said, that's it. That's the little part of it, you know. He said, yeah, you kept that going, but you haven't given me all of this. You haven't given me everything. I need your undivided attention. Be married to what I called you to do. That's what you do through your singleness. So once I got it, I was like, oh, well, I mean, I love God too much. I was like, I love God too much, because people used to ask me, I used to get questioned all the time. Oh, y'all been together so long? Y'all had sex yet? Yeah. And I'm like, no. They was like, well, you older now, you can make that. And it was to the point that, before salvation, I made the decision for myself. During salvation, the decision was maintained, because I was like, oh, wow, now I love this God more than him. But at the same time, later on, I began to kind of, I got the virginity part packed, you know, that's good. But now I was giving him all my time. I always wanted to be around him. What you doing? Hell, I gotta call you. I'm calling every number in the house just to see if I can. Come on, Helen. I mean,
paging me.
I'm paging.
You whipped out the pager.
Yeah, I'm paging, and you know, y'all remember we could you put the right numbers in at the time that you turn upside down, it would spell word. And
HELLO.
Yeah. I was doing the absolute most. Was I still ministry in church? Yeah, but he had my attention. You get what I'm saying? So God was like, wait a minute, I don't have your undivided attention. I don't have it. That's why you're not married, because you're not single. So when I got it, and I really began to, and I grabbed the horns of that, and all of a sudden, it seemed like this happened overnight. All of a sudden, I'm being surprised with a surprise proposal, like the engagement party. I'm like, you know, it was almost bittersweet. I don't even want to lie. You know, I'm not gonna lie. It was bittersweet. I was excited. I loved them and everything. And yeah, I said yes, but that aftermath of it, I was like, oh, I'm loving God so much that he ain't had to do this yet. And I'm like, come on, God, you could have. I done said yes all the way. Couldn't you wait? You know, that's where I was. I'm like, and that thing. I mean, so. Yeah, that's where I was, but once I got my undivided attention.
You know, honestly, now, you know, as you're talking, I'm going back in my mind years ago, and you know, Chris was one of the inspirations for me getting married, really, because I was like, if Chris can do it, and you know, my other cousin was doing it, I was like, well, I can do it too. I was kind of scared of marriage, you know,
right?
Being with somebody for the rest of my life.
Definitely, you sound like that. Chris got children.
What?
Yeah.
You know, and so thank you, Chris.
Yeah, because I think we got married the same year.
Yeah,
2000. 2000. Yeah, 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah. December. We December.
Okay.
We was in March. We're March. We just did 20.
And most of the time, men don't know what they want when they really. We're so confused with that because because I asked a friend and I was like, "Are you ask so and so to marry you?" Yeah, when? About 7 years. I said, "Why 7 years?" I don't know. You know, because we're not taught to think like that. We're not. I got another trophy on the wall. I got another trophy. We're just not taught like that. You know, I asked him, he was really stunned. He was like, I really don't know why I said 7 years. Because you're afraid to give up what you don't have. You're afraid to give up something that you think you're going to lose. And you're not losing anything. Because I had to ask myself the same question when, why haven't you asked Helen to marry you? Well, at first it was because, we just out of high school, but then it was like, I'm afraid to give up something that I don't have. I don't have any other prospects. Is there anybody? No, you think about it? No, she lives in North Carolina, 5 hours away. You're down there almost every week to see her, leaving Monday morning to get to work on time. Like, why haven't you asked her to marry you? I don't know. We don't think about, if you don't think about why you do what you do, you don't know why you're doing what you're doing.
Pretty much.
So guys, start thinking about why you're doing what you're doing, because if you never tell your thoughts, you never know why. Because we do the same things over, because that's the way we're just brought up to do things.
Yeah.
And what we think is right. And a lot of times men aren't, we're not taught to think about marriage. I'm going to be a good husband. No, we're not. Most of the time, we're not taught that.
That's true.
We're just not taught that.
That's true.
We're taught to divide and conquer. Who you hit this week? Yeah, I hit what? Yeah, that's the way we're taught.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I think you guys said a lot of great things. I want to go back to two things. One of the things that you said, Chris, at the beginning was about your mindset, and I think that when you start talking about having goals, it has a lot to do with your mindset, your way of thinking, right? And so now we're talking to believers, right? This broadcast is for believers, and so you were just talking to guys, but what are some things that some mindset shifts that can start to happen relationally for some of the people that's watching, that they can start making some mindset shifts that will lead them to becoming relationship ready? Because a lot of people are not relationship ready. That's true.
That's true.
Because if you got to understand what are your deal. There should be deal breakers and compromises. Compromise. There's some things that this person in a relationship may do, or where they're going. You're like, yo, that's a deal breaker. But I think a lot of times we're afraid to really create deal breakers because you feel you're going to miss out. Right. You feel you're going to miss. He's a good one. I'm gonna let him go. All right, I'll compromise on it. You got to have your no shift. This is my anchor. No deal breaker. If this is where it is, this is a deal breaker, and it has to stop. Right. And I know it's scary for a lot of women, because it's women come a dime a dozen for men, and women, it takes a lot of times. It takes a lot longer, but that's when faith in God comes in. That God knows what's best for me, and this is a deal breaker for me. And if this happens, this is a deal breaker. So you gotta understand what your deal breakers and what your compromises are. And bald head, he's bald head. That's a deal breaker. That's shallow. That's shallow. You got when it comes to your purpose and everything. This is a deal. You got to understand what deal breakers are. They got
to be realistic.
Oh, he's too realistic than what I wanted. Yeah. Oh, I make more than him, so it's a deal breaker. That might be a deal breaker, and it may not be a deal breaker. It may not. But that comes in with the counseling from God and counseling from the people around, because we know successful relationships where the wives are making much more bread than the husband are, but it's a successful relationship because it's ordained. So I guess a better way to say it, those God ordained deal breakers, because my God ordained deal breakers may be different from yours.
Yes.
Purpose where God is going to take you. There's some things that Pastor Ebony had to have in her for Pastor Willie to marry, and vice versa. There's some things that he had to have in him that may not have been a deal breaker in me and Helen's relationship. So absolutely. Other people's relationship and say that's a deal breaker, because everybody's purpose is different. So you have to go to God and get those God ordained deal breakers. And I know that sounds really spiritual, but it's true. And you just got to have that conversation with God. God, what are my deal breakers? And the Holy Spirit will guide you and direct you and see those, because a lot of times we see those red flags, but we cut them down. No, they don't mean that. I can deal with that. What was that? What is that mom told you?
Your mom?
My mom told you about me.
Oh yeah. Before Chris and I got engaged or anything, I would never forget. His mother asked me. She said, "I want you to answer this question." She said, "What is that thing that Chris does that gets on your nerve, like it just gets under your skin?" She said, "But you would be willing to live with it for the rest of your life
if I don't change.
If he never changed."
Yeah. Wow.
So I was in my moment right then. I'm like, about to try to answer. She said, She said, you gotta be careful. She said, "Don't give me an answer right now." She said, can't answer right now. She said, because right now, you know, they used to use the term, your nose wide open.
Yeah.
So that was the term. She said, because right now, your nose wide open. And any little bad habit he has is just cute to you. It gets under your skin, but it's cute. You're not saying nothing.
Right.
And so, but I really had to, you know, get it. And so I took that question to my mother. And I was like, because I'm like, it's coming from his mother. You know, a lot of times we always think our boyfriend or girlfriend's parent is our enemy.
They're allies.
Yes.
They are your allies.
They really are. So
They are.
So in my narrow-mindedness, I really took it to my mother just to see if my mother would be on my side. So when I took it, I'm like, she gonna ask me, what's that? You know, that's how I did it. And so when she hit me, she said, yeah, what is it? You know, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So I'm like, is that what you did for Dad? She said, no, because I ain't had no sense. It just so happened that it worked out. You know, my parents had a great marriage and all that stuff. But her thing was, she said, that's from his mother. Listen to him. She said, most mothers try to cover up their child. His mother is asking you to look at that thing. What's that thing that gets on your nerve? So, you know, what is that thing that get on your nerve? Because you got to consider all of this stuff. Because, you know, when you get into marriage, that's a whole nother thing. You know, you don't just jump out. You know, you don't just jump out of it. You know, so but yeah, that was that thing. I had to ask myself, what was that thing that got under my skin that, you know, that he did and sometimes still do.
So look, Will's mom did the same thing to me. She said, look, go up to his room. She said, go to his room and see if this what you want to deal with. This yours.
Yeah, and that look, and that's basically what his mother was saying.
You're in good company, by the way. I want to see if you can clean it up. That's what I'm looking for.
I want to see if you like your dirty socks.
Yeah, exactly. So
I did the thing where I was like, well, I can change him. I can change him. That's what my mind was saying. I can change him.
You can't change him. He'll change. They're not.
I learned that, dog.
So we're gonna post some questions from some of our viewers that's here tonight in our last 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
So we have this question from Tara. Hey, do you bring goals into dating, or is that something you talk through together when you hit courting? Or does each person bring their own goals and you find areas of common ground?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I would say the latter. It's good to have, like, you know, kind of hit those things earlier, but it's definitely good to have goals, but make sure they're realistic goals. Because the other thing is, don't compare what you do or don't have to other people, because those are those things that we'll begin to try to imitate, like or you know, things like that. But definitely have your own goals. It's all right to have your list of things, your do's and don'ts, but what are those things? Pretty much just like what, you know, what Ebony and even myself was saying. Like, look at that list and just imagine his mother in your ear. What's on this list? That just in case he may do some of the don't side. What's on the don't side? Because a lot of times we want to focus on the do's. What's on that don't side that he may do? That are you willing to live with it? Are you willing to live with it and adjust yourself? You know, because even in marriage, what my mother did tell me, right before marriage, but in the engagement, she said, Helen, just because he doesn't do it your way doesn't mean his way is wrong.
Yes.
So, but even though I may have had my thing that I wanted, you know, and he didn't do it like I wanted to, was I willing to adjust myself You know what I'm saying? So have your goals, have your list, but what is on that list that makes sense, and what's on that list that you need to just throw right on in the track, because you ain't gonna never get that one. Okay, you're not gonna.
And I would say make sure the conversation is balanced, because what I've seen in my own experience and other people, other relationships that we've talked to people, the guys ask questions and the girls are given the answers.
That's true. That is so true.
I say, well, what do you know about him? I didn't. I said, he's asking you a lot of questions. And he has a lot of answers, and you don't have that same. So I would say, make sure, even before you start getting in depth, make sure the conversations are balanced. Stuff that he knows about you, you should know about him, because it goes back to what I said before. He's creating a script for you. The question that he's asked you, you should be able to answer for him as well.
That's true. That's good.
What's your credit score? Yes. You know what I'm saying? Whatever he asks you, it should be a balance in conversation. And for me, especially dealing with women, I could see when there wasn't a balance in conversation. I was getting more information. I was getting more answers than I was getting more questions asked. And I'm not saying that in a nagging way. Don't be a nagger. Have you well, let me ask you all these questions because you're going to run the man away. You women are strategic and you know how to ask questions. I think a lot of women just lose that women intuition when they just want to be in a relationship so bad. You just hanging up on the shelf, and you guys know how to get answers. And if you're not willing to answer, you know what I'm saying? Because if men not checked, they're not going to be challenged.
That's good. So our next question: what are some spiritual goals we should have, or even spiritual goals while dating? What are some things that they should be thinking of when dating? Some spiritual goals.
That's a good one too.
I would say a good goal is to never compromise a relationship with someone for a relationship with God.
That's right.
I think one thing came to mind when that question came up. Pastor Bishop Bobby Holmes and Melody Holmes, she said she had invited him to church. And he shouted all over her feet. She shouted all over his feet. Like, she wasn't like, I'm not going to dumb down who I am just to get acceptance from you. My relationship with God is so don't dumb down your relationship with God for the acceptance of a human being, because a human being will roll out. And it's just common sense. God says, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. I'll be with you even into the end of the world. I can't even make it to heaven. I can only say I can be with you while I'm here. You just never know. You just never know. And a lot of times I think in our relationships, we dumb down our spirituality. Well, I don't want them to think I'm so rigid and spiritual. No, your relationship with God should always be solid. And if it's compromised by this relationship, then that's a red flag. If you're dumbing yourself down, for instance, if you have a set prayer time where you see God and that person was like, well, let's go out during that time. No, you guard your time with God. That was one of the things that Helen said she fell in love with me about, because when I was 18, I really became serious about my relationship with God out of high school. And then there were times where she would come to the house and she knew when my prayer time was, and she would try to come to the house at that time to see what I would do. If I would give up my prayer time for her, I'm like, baby, you're not getting that. You important, but you just not that important.
I was all in my feelings.
You just not. And she would strategically come down because she knew at this specific time I was praying. And I wasn't going to compromise my time with God, because in my time with God, God tells me about her.
That's right.
God got the inside scoop. So never compromise your relationship with God for someone else. And if you have standards with God, stay there. And they won't, because when they really love you, they won't cross, and they love God, they won't cross your time with God.
And even to add on to piggyback with that, I would say in your dating, that goal should be just that. If your significant other, the person you're courting, if you see that they're putting God before you, I'm not talking about church work. I'm talking about their relationship, because there's a big difference. If they're willing to put their relationship with God first, and I mean, it doesn't mean they don't care. They don't care about you or anything like that. You need to stick with that one. You know, you might want to stick with that one because that's exactly what I did. Once I got out of my feelings and realized, like, wow, because here I am, I'm raised in a home where loving God was illustrated, you know, before my eyes with my parents. So why was the devil, y'all? I'm trying to tell you, why was I getting upset? You know what I'm saying? Why did I get upset? Because I saw him doing what I saw. You know, that didn't even make no sense. That didn't make no sense. So don't even get blinded by your own selfishness. Don't even allow yourself to be blinded by your own selfishness. Once those scales, you know, fell off, and I was like, Helen, get your little stuff together. Because if he is willing to put God first, even in our teen years, you better stick with this one because I had gave this one 2 years. I was like, 2 years, I'm good. After 2 years, I'm fine. You know, them 2 years had hit, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute now. I'm really liking them.
Right. I think don't fall in love with their gift. Fall in love with who they are. Because a lot of times we fall in love with what people do.
That's right.
And we equate their spirituality to what they do. But your spirituality and your gifting is totally different from who you are.
Yeah.
Because you actually said, why do we love Ty Tribbett? Why do we really love him? His gift, his music. What do we know about Ty Tribbett? I really don't know. He's a gifted singer. He's good. You know what I'm saying? So you can't just fall in love with their gift. You have to fall in love with the person. Those are two separate people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what you do.
So, you know, when you were talking about being married to your singleness, you know, I think it goes in line with what you were just talking about as well. How do you remain pursuable without being self-centered on you?
How did I remain pursuable?
Yeah. So how would somebody remain pursuable in a time where they're married to their singleness while they're being consumed by God? Is how you use the term that you were so consumed by God at that time.
You definitely. Well, for us, we were already well in our relationship. But for if you're not already, you're pretty much grounded in your relationship. I would just say, of course, if your relationship, you got to put your relationship first. That's what God was pretty much saying to me. You have not given me all of you. I want every single part of you. Nothing. I don't want no halfway stuff. So that same thing that you had when you first accepted me, because when I first accepted Christ, I was fasting without nobody saying. I was telling God, you need to put me on a fast. You know, that's where my relationship was. You know, when I first accepted Christ, it was just this love relationship, but I had allowed an individual to take that place. And don't allow yourself and nobody else to take God's place. Because when he's jealous, he's jealous. So my thing was, I also willing to put his life at stake because I put him in God's place. I did too much for him too. I didn't want anything. In my mind, I was like, well, you jealous, and I know what jealous people do on earth. You a jealous God. All right, don't take him away from me. I don't want you doing that. So I'm okay. I'm willing. I'm yielding. Right. I'm yielding. I'm yielding for all reasons necessary. You know, all or nothing. You got my attention. So I had to go back to the very beginning. I had to go back to the very beginning where my mind was at the time when I first accepted Christ, and I had started that love relationship all over again. So again, once he proposed, I was like, God, no. You know, I'm like, shoot, you know, I'm really loving Jesus right now. I mean, I think you're coming in disturbing some stuff, you know. So, but yeah, you when you're married to your singleness, that means you are completely committed to what you are called to do while you are single.
Right.
Nobody has your attention. Nobody. It doesn't mean you can't go out and date. I'm not saying you can't date. You can't go out and enjoy yourself. But when it comes to your heart, nobody can grab that. Nobody can grab God from you for no reason. That's the deal breaker. That's the deal breaker. Oh, and the deal breaker is you making that deal. You know, don't you break that deal. Right. I'm not talking about somebody else. Don't you break the deal. That's the deal breaker on your end. Don't allow no one to take your attention, to take your focus off of God. Let that be like concrete. Your relationship with the Lord got to be right on, right spot on.
Yeah, and there's no competitiveness when you're in your singleness when it comes to God.
None. That's right.
I would like, Pastor, give me the keys to the church. God told me to seek it. God just told me to just stay there and seek him all night. So, and when you get in a relationship, you're sharing your relationship with God with somebody else. But in your singleness, you're in totality as you, and whatever God desires you to do, you do that. And there's nothing, even if somebody calls me and say they want me to do something, I have to clear with her first. Hey, this is on the table. This is what happened. Well, she can say, well, that's not really working for me because we've already scheduled this to happen based on the kids need that, blah, blah, blah. You're sharing your relationship. But in your singleness, it's like you're just gonna hope whatever God wants. I want you to go downtown and feed the homeless with Pastor Willie. Yes, I can do it. You don't have to ask. You don't have to ask.
You don't need anyone's permission. And also, in addition to the latter part of the question was, how do you remain pursuable? But even though you're so in love with God, your relationship is just where it should be. You're not so holy in the clouds. You're not. Oh, I can't date today. I gotta go and speak in tongues. You got. You are still a human being,
Right.
Yes.
It's pretty much like you still prepare. You're preparing yourself. That's how you. That's how you remain pursuable. Because while you're in right relationship with God, He's preparing you and that other person for you. So that when y'all do come together, it's just gonna be right. And it's just gonna be. It's like that Naomi. It's like that Naomi Ruth situation.
How does she get exposed? By serving.
That's right. You get serving, and when that right one is there, and God, this is the one, and this is what you got. This is what you have to do. Ruth received. Was it Ruth? Yeah. Ruth received specific, instructions, detailed instructions as to how to prepare herself for Boaz.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. While she remained faithful to God.
Your gift will make
you give and make room for you.
I love the story of Ruth because I'm always reminded when I look at the story, I realize Ruth wasn't even searching. It was her mother-in-law that was searching for Ruth.
No.
Right. She was serving.
She was serving. She wasn't searching. She was serving.
Yeah.
And it was the mother-in-law that says, "Hey, do this. I'm about to set you up." And if we can preach right here. And we just allow God to set us up, and we stop going after things and allow God to bring us to things. How much better will be?
That's true.
He'll bring it to you. He'll do you just like Noah. Noah did, out of his obedience to God, he not one time had to go find an animal. God brought the animals to him.
That's right.
Amen.
Bring the one to you.
And the practical Helen didn't mention why it was hard for her to leave, because she was in North Carolina serving at her dad's church, and she gave herself wholly to serving the young people at the church.
That's right.
So she built they grew. And the thing about it, one of the young people that she was serving is now the pastor of that church.
He sure is.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. We got one more question, but before we get to this question right quick, I wanted to just I know a lot of the when we was emphasizing about the singleness, being married to singleness, was talking from Helen's perspective. But Chris, I think it's also good to just share a little bit. I know we going over time. I know probably but about a perspective of a guy who was serious about his relationship with God. For a lot of the especially since we have a lot of women at our church, they know they are really serious about their relationship with God, but they don't necessarily, other than Pastor Willie, they don't hear a lot from men who are
Okay.
dedicated to their relationship with God.
That's
So talk to
good.
us a little bit about, kind of your space that as when you got 18 and you started getting more serious about your relationship with God. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like 17 and in those 10 years in high school, I was really after the girls, but something happened to me on a retreat. And my god sister, she challenged me. She said, Chris, God has a work for you to do and you need to submit. And I was 18 years old when I gave my heart to God. And from that point, I shifted from being, very flirtatious to really embracing my relationship with God. And that's when it came up when I started establishing. I believe Helen got saved because I got saved, but she won't admit that. She got saved after me. And I really gave my heart to God. But when I got serious about God and I got into music, I was taking my Bible to work. And during my lunch breaks, I was reading, and it got to that point. And Helen was in North Carolina at that time. That people knew I was so serious about God. There were women on my job that protected me from other women. Mm-hmm. They protected me. They saw my Bible. They knew. They were like, he's one of the good ones. Leave him alone. You know what I'm saying? So when I really got serious about my relationship with God, God really got serious about protecting me. And so, like I was saying, you look for those men that have prayer in their conversation. That's right. You look for those men that are pursuing in their gift of what God has called them to do. You look for the men that's saying, I'm hanging out with this guy, we're having Bible study. You look for those men that have those attributes. And even if you don't have a father, have the attributes of your pastor. Mm-hmm. So you may say, well, I didn't have an earthly father that raised me. You look how Pastor Willie treats Pastor Evan. That's right. And you look for those characteristics in the men that are going for God. And when I got serious about God, that's when Helen got serious about God. She really did. She really did.
Thank you for sharing that. That's my last question.
All right, our last question for the night.
Yeah,
let's see.
Up there.
Right here.
Yeah.
All right, Tiana writes, what made you want to go from friendship to courting, and how do you know when to go from friendship to courting?
Wow, I don't ask that question, huh? I don't know if I can give an actual, like a time per se. I think it just grew into it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It just began to flow. It connected. It connected. That's one of the things for me, I guess, because and again, not to even try to be so spiritual, but I mean that's what we talking about, Christian dating. So
talk about it.
And I think too. Oh God, you're bleeding. Let me heal. Jesus, be healed in Jesus' name. God.
Very stuff.
Well, I just want to also say that we hung around like-minded people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We hung around like-minded people. We both came from great examples when it came to marriage, so relationship. And neither one, his parents didn't play when it came to that. My parents didn't play when it came to that. And then we had friends, our peers, that will pretty much hold us accountable. And so what y'all doing? Where y'all going, and what's your what are you reading? Stuff like that. What's your prayer life like? So with us pretty much being held accountable, I would say for me, us being held accountable from other people, then seeing examples, and it was like, okay, I do want that. I do want that in my 2-year period. So I do want that. And then it just grew into what I want. Okay, I do want more from this. see where this goes. And so that was once we got it to, we were 17 when we began the boyfriend girlfriend part. But I would say the courtship probably happened when I moved. Prior to me moving,
we had to come to a crossroads.
Now I'm not saying this is everybody. Everybody can't do this. Everybody can't do it. But when I moved is when our relationship became more valuable.
Right.
It was saw each other so much, you know. So you know the saying, absence make the heart grow fonder. Literally, what happened to us. So the latter part of our relationship, the last 5 years of our 10. So the first 5 years we was in each other's face. The last 5 years I had moved to, I was living in North Carolina. So it began to get more fonder and we respected one another. There was a level of respect that grew as a result of me moving, you know. So that's just a little tidbit.
And I guess the questions you have to ask yourself, and we tell other people that we see dating, can you see yourself without that person? I think the first, you have to come to the conclusion with yourself within your heart. Where am I in this relationship? Can I see myself with this person? Can I see myself without this person? So once you ask yourself this question and it comes to the point you're like, I really can't see my life, myself. I can really see myself being with this person. Then you start to ask other people, those people that you trust. Hey, before you talk to that other person, because a lot of what happens is we say, oh, I feel this way. I think they feel the same. Hey, I feel this way about you. Do you feel this way? No, you ask yourself first. And then the Bible says there's safety in a multitude of counseling. That's when you have those people around you.
That's
say,
right.
You know what? I really think I'm falling for this person. And I think I want this relationship to go a little deeper. What do you see? What do you see? So you put your relationship and where you the people that you trust. What do you guys think about this? And then that's when you start having a conversation with the significant other. You know, I'm thinking to see, you get guys to talk. Where is your head about this relationship? Because I remember Helen started asking me, she said, people are asking me, well, where's this relationship going? What should I say to them? I was like, don't say nothing. You know, so that's a question. She was asking me a question. Basically, it's being wise woman. This is what she was saying. This is where I am about the relationship, and this is what other people are saying about it. Who do you say we are? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know, pretty much, because she knew what she felt, she knew what other people felt, and she wanted to know what I felt.
Yep.
A lot of times we start giving 100 and the person is still at 45. And then I'm giving myself to you and you're not. That's right, because you're giving yourself away too soon. Because you don't know where their head is. You don't know what other people are thinking, because there was a lot of other people that looked at our relationship and said, y'all getting really close. You know, y'all might be blah, blah, blah. So she was getting feedback from what she felt and what other people felt before. Then she presented it to me. Like, what I'm feeling is right. Other people see what I'm feeling, but does he see what I'm feeling? Or does she see what I'm feeling? It goes back and forth. So you got to make sure that you're in the right place. Ask other people about what they think. This is what I'm feeling before you start to give yourself 100. Give yourself slow at a time, because you don't want to give yourself and that person is not there. You giving steaks and they say, you bring a steak to the dinner and they bring hot dogs. You know, it's like, this doesn't matter.
Right. Right before he proposed, when I had, you know, had that, like that spiritual epiphany, if you want to say, he had called me on the phone, and that was another thing. I had stopped calling him. I had stopped calling him because remember I told you I was paging. I was calling all 3 phone numbers in the house and everything, you know. So I had stopped calling, and he called me one particular night, and we was talking. And instead of me questioning, hey, what are you gonna do here? I began to tell him where I was.
Hey, you haven't called me in a while. What's up?
He's like, you haven't called me.
I started to wonder.
He sure did.
Because I was used to her pursuing. So she pulled back a little bit to see where you pulled back a little bit to see if he missed me, he gonna call me.
That's right.
If she missed me, she gonna wonder where I am, because you notice when somebody is absent.
Yeah, and I stopped making myself available too, because but even though I would go in my room and I was like, Lord, I want to call him so bad. I mean, that's the real reality of it. It wasn't like I was like, I don't want him to call me. No, I did. I wanted to call him. I wanted to, but I was like, it was like the Helen and the Spirit of God. All right, who first? Who's first? And so because I remember my mom would say, my mother was just crazy about Chris, So Helen, Chris on the phone, and I would be in the room like, I'll call her back. I'm call her back. And so it was happening to the point she would come to the room. She said, "Are y'all all right? Like I'm not used to this."
Keep him wondering.
And
I'm wondering,
yeah, and it just got to that place when we had that conversation on the phone. I was just so, loving God. I was very confident in myself completely now. And so when he started, I said, where's this relationship going? So even though I asked the question, it was the way I did it. It was the way I did it. And I said, where is this relationship going? I said, because if it's not going to do anything within the next few months, I said, I'm done. That's just what I said. On the other side of the phone, I am bawling my eyeballs out because I'm like, am I really saying this? Oh my God. But I had to do that. I had to.
To make sure where I was.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to be willing to lose it.
Right.
Oh, Lord, that's good.
Say it again, Pastor Ebony.
Oh.
Because we got to that same space. I asked the same question. You got to be willing to lose it. You got to be willing. If you really want this, then you have to be willing to. I have to be willing to lose it to see where his heart really was.
Exactly.
And I was getting some double messages.
Right.
Hello.
I was getting some double. So like I had to.
You can join me on my other channel for all the excuses I gave
double messages. I'm like, so what we gonna do? You got a few more months to figure it out, brother.
Yeah, we done.
And we wouldn't have that long. Look.
Yeah. And the thing about when a man really wants you, he'll go to my and I'm who was it in about Rachel and who?
Yeah.
Leah.
Yeah.
Right. He like, I want this woman, and she like worked 7 years. And then the father tricked him, like, you got to work another 14. Men will do that if they really want you.
Right.
And if you really who they want, they're gonna jump through hoops to get you. And once you say where are we, they'll make a decision. You force us to make a decision because I we kept dangling along because it's like, oh, she'll be there.
Yeah, and it wasn't an ultimatum. It wasn't in the form of an ultimatum. It was in the form of where is this relationship going? I will no longer be you're not going to string me anymore. I'm good. And like you said, Ebony, was I willing to lose for that to end? And in that moment, I had made that decision. Yes, it mean me being in right standing with God, as hard as it was. You're talking about 8.5 years at that time. As hard as it was, I had to make that decision. I'm willing for this to be over.
And I know when
he said, what are you saying?
I knew what the breaking point was. I knew what the breaking point was for her, and it wasn't because I didn't make that decision because I just wasn't thinking. I wasn't thinking at the level she was. I was just in the no brain zone, I guess. We did that Brotherhood concert.
Oh,
and then I said we did an anniversary, and they said I said, yeah, I want to introduce my friend Helen, and we had been dating about 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was 8 years.
A friend, not girlfriend.
And she was like a friend.
It confirmed. It just confirmed everything.
And I don't even know why I said friend, because I was comfortable in my mindset, and I didn't define it, not because I didn't want to. It was just I don't know. Sometimes we as men don't, because marriage is so far-fetched from us a lot of times that we just say that marriage is like, ooh, don't say marriage. Ooh, because
it's a cuss word.
It's almost a cuss word for me. And I knew I loved her because I was going down there every week, but I called her my friend.
Yeah.
I didn't say my significant other, my friend. Okay, what does friend mean? Your interpretation of friend, it's all about defining what does it mean to you.
Yeah, because he wanted me to stand up. I want my friends there. I did like this.
Your friend for 8 years?
That's how we I did like this.
And in my mind, I didn't think I was wrong.
Right.
Friend was just the thing, but in my heart, she was significant. But in my mind and my mouth would not say it at that point. And why? I don't know. Because I loved it. Because I was going down there every month. We were in a long distance relationship at the time, and she had come up for the concert, and I called her my friend. When my heart couldn't catch up with my mouth and my head, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think like for me, and we'll close out. As I was telling, in our dating right before I proposed, or we even talked about marriage, it was a thing. It's a thing of, it wasn't manipulation, but sometimes you have to push your horse or something from behind to help them get to the place that they need to get to. Right. It's not manipulation. It's just pushing. And I think sometimes we have to turn off the other voices that's trying to come in and tell us what our relationship is and define our relationship for us without us defining it within ourselves.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
So thank y'all for coming on with us tonight.
Yeah. It was
thank you for having us.
Great conversation. We went down memory lane.
Oh yeah.
Lane. And I think we got some great takeaways from the night about having goals and frankly, women and men being in different places. Making sure that you first and that your relationship with God is first. That's your first goal. Your first spiritual goal is your relationship with God.
That's right.
Then your relationship with somebody else.
That's right.
But man and woman, not just the ladies.
That's right. That's right. That's good.
And I would say to the men, a lot of times who we become is because of who we marry. And both vice versa. Who we become. I can truly, Helen and I have a song that we sing together that says, I'm a better me because of you. And I can totally say that I wouldn't be who I am and where I am if she wasn't in my life.
Absolutely.
So it's very important who you pick to be your spouse, because your spouse, like we said, adds value and push you where you can go. You wouldn't be able to go where you're going to go if you didn't have them in your life. You just wouldn't be able to get there because God designs them there because God told me, he said, it's not good for man to be alone. He never said it wasn't good for woman to be alone. So we as men, we have problems. So God said, I got to get somebody to help them. And Eve helped push Adam to where he wanted to go. And I'm sure that Pastor Ebony has pushed you, Pastor Willie. Some things you wouldn't have done in your life if she wasn't there. Some things I wouldn't have done in my life if she wasn't here.
That's right.
So for the men out there, we reach our ultimate goal a lot of times because of the women who stand behind us and push us, because they tell us, they help us and show us who we are, because a lot of times we don't know. We don't. And that's just the honest God truth.
The Bible says, a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. And
yes.
Obtains favor.
I got favor just because you
favor.
That's right.
You preaching, Pastor Willie, right there. I got favor because you're in my life.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Dr. Mike. And so that goes to say to the women, don't devalue yourself when you come into this relationship, because my pastor says all the time that the wife and the female in the relationship signs the grace check. Don't devalue yourself because you are more valuable than you think you are and have presented yourself, and sometimes you devalue yourself because you're so scared, like Pastor, you're scared you're going to lose out.
That's why you should not be the one to do the picking for you. Because
Yes.
I will have her suitable. She's gonna be suitable for you. So let me, because we're gonna be suitable for the wrong one. We're not suitable for the wrong one.
Exactly.
So we are God to get involved with our courtship and all that stuff. He said she'll be suitable. I'll make her suitable for you.
Yeah. I needed some Helen and Pastor needed some Ebony. That's all a part of our ingredients. I need a little Ebony, Chris. But look, I need a little Ebony and Willie. Come on, mix them up. You are the missing ingredient for somebody, so don't be afraid to be the ingredient that they need.
That's right.
Don't be afraid.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Amen. Well, guys, I think you guys helped a lot of people out tonight.
Yes.
Thank
you
you
so much.
You see the comments that this was awesome. This was good.
Yeah.
And thank you. It was all because of you. Thank you, Chris
you so
and Helen.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. We love relationship. We love relationship.
Totally do.
Right.
But God bless you guys. You guys have a great night. Have a safe trip home if you're not there already.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a good night.
All right, take care.
Have a great night. Thanks for joining, everybody.
All right.